One Piece Manga Chapter 1117 titled Mo. In this chapter, we continue to see the reactions from people all over the world. We also see the clash that we have all been waiting for months now. And lastly, will the gorosei be able to stop the broadcast after locating the Din Din Mushi in the previous chapter? Stay right till the end of the video, as all of that is revealed. The cover page of chapter 1117 is the 7th volume of the limited cover story, Oni Child Yamato and the Holy Inari Shrine Pilgrimage. Yamato has finally left the palace, but is still in the flower capital. He pays a visit to Nekomamushi and gives him a big hug. Hyogoro is beside them, and is delighted as he sees Yamato. The chapter begins where we left off in chapter 1116. The people watching the video broadcast are still overwhelmed. While Vegapunk's broadcast has been shedding light about the Void Century, people's minds are filled with so many more questions regarding Vegapunk's non-stop revelations. The scene begins in Hachinosu. The pirates are burning with ambition to hunt new treasures. One of them is in a state of disbelief and wonders if there could be a bunch of treasure down in the ocean floor. However, another pirate labels him as a pea-brain. He angrily reminds him that the entire world isn't full of cities of gold for them to pillage. In the background, we see 3 pirates we haven't seen since 1998. After all their attempts, Don Krieg, Jin, and Pearl finally made it past the Grand Line and into the New World. Last time we saw Jin was back in chapter 67. It's funny how Oda still remembers these pirates after 1,000 plus chapters. Jin said back then that he would meet them again in the Grand Line. I hope that we will see Jin's promise come true at some point in the future. The scene shifts to the depths of the ocean, where we see a sea beast and some mermaids swimming. As the conversation between the pirates continues, one of the pirates warns that the oceans are all 200 meters deep, and his friend might become food for the sea beast if he went down looking for unknown treasures. However, the optimistic pirate believes there are ships that can dive 200 meters deep into the ocean. So, his dream might be possible. But despite his optimism, the other pirate thinks it's impossible for them to afford such a luxury. The pirate says that they'll have better luck trying to seduce some mermaids. The pirate says that he'd do anything to meet even one mermaid. The scene shifts out in the seas, somewhere in the Grand Line. While listening to Vegapunk's broadcast, Mont Blanc Cricket tells his fellow crewmates that the Void Century was before Nolan's time. Mont Blanc Cricket asks the members of the Saruyama Alliance if they are up for another diving expedition. Masira and Shoujo yell and jump in joy as they agree to take part in the expedition. The scene shifts to the GS Marine General Hospital, where the Sword members are recovering. They are injured and covered in bandages after the incident in Hachinosu. Lieutenant Commander Helmeppo tells Kobe that Vegapunk's ongoing video broadcast must be about the One Piece. Hibari wonders about that, too, as she comments that the revelations are really making them think. Kobe thinks he's gonna pass out soon. He says he'll write down everything later because it's apparently hard to keep up with all the thoughts racing around his head. Kojaku informs all of them that the captain's recovery is going well, as she had just seen him earlier. As the conversation continues, Kobe tells Prince Gruss that things are really coming to a head right now. Gruss agrees that they have really reached a crisis. Judging by how the transmission sounds, he believes they are going to get some hard-to-hear answers soon. Kojaku is looking forward to it. She believes that it is finally their turn to step up. Meanwhile, Drake has returned from Wano and is resting in another room alone. Contrary to Kobe and the others who are discussing, he remains silent. The scene shifts out to the seas of the New World. And just like Don Krieg, Jin, and Pearl, after more than 10 years, we finally see Smoker. Smoker is on his billower bike in the middle of the sea. He contacts Tashigi via Din Din Mushi and asks where she is currently. Tashigi replies that she is at the General Hospital. The scene shifts to more reactions from people watching the video broadcast. Vegapunk realizes that he's been quite vague on this point. However, Vegapunk tells the whole world that he can't add anything further other than pure speculation. The citizens didn't like it. They protested at Vegapunk's broadcast and urged him to keep going. One of them is eager to learn what Roger left behind before he was executed. If you have been my Nakama for a while, I would like to share with you that I just opened up a Patreon page. If you'd like to support the channel more, I'd be grateful if you would consider subscribing to one of the tiers on the Patreon page. This will allow me to be able to get someone to color the manga panels, as well as create more videos for you. My goal is to always try to improve the experience of reading the manga and make it come alive. Click here to learn more about the tiers, or go to our channel page and click on the Patreon link. Thank you. The scene shifts to Egghead Island. Nami hurriedly urges the crew to look ahead as the barrier is finally lifting.
誰があんたなんかに
The next moment, Nami suddenly notices a sound that startled her. Chopper points out that the clouds have stopped stretching.
危なかった
Usopp thinks it's not a problem. He believes the distance is more than enough, and they should be able to reach the sea at this point.
今はお前が味方だなんて頼もしいぜ
However, Lilith notices an issue. She lets everyone know that they will be landing right on top of a fleet of ships. Brook immediately loads the cola barrels. He notifies the crew that they can blast off at any moment.
Yo!
Nami thinks that's good news, but wonders why Jinbei hasn't arrived yet. The scene shifts to Zoro and Jinbei. Jinbei informs Nami that they are close to the Thousand Sunny. He further adds that they are chasing after a strange monster. Nami voices out her confusion via Denden Mushi as she scolds the two for taking detours when they have no time for it. Nami urges them to get over there as soon as possible. Little does she know that the monster Jinbei and Zoro are chasing is one of the gorosei, Nazjuro. Jinbei makes it clear they are not taking a detour. Instead, he informs everyone that Nazjuro is heading right in their direction. Jinbei warns Nami and the others to be careful. Jinbei further adds that there is apparently something special about the monster's presence. Immediately after Jinbei said that, Nazjuro leaps above and starts to unsheath his sword as he prepares to cut the Thousand Sunny. Lilith, Chopper, and Usopp have their eyes popping out of their head. Their jaws drop in surprise after learning that the threat Jinbei refers to is a gorosei. Nazjuro clenches his teeth in preparation for his next move. As Nazjuro is about to slash the Thousand Sunny, Jinbei uses the move Fishman Jujutsu, Kataguruma, to throw Zoro at tremendous speed. As he travels in the air, Zoro engages in his battle stance to stop the gorosei from destroying the Thousand Sunny. Nazjuro looks back as he notices Zoro fast approaching him. The next moment, Zoro stops Nazjuro by using a named attack, Sukavati's Bliss Paradise, Rashomon. This is a new variation of Rashomon that we first saw in episode 260 of the anime. Streaks of lightning and fire appear as their blades clash. Nazjuro notices something. Nazjuro is surprised as he sees Zoro wielding a Kitetsu blade. For those of you who are not aware, there are 3 Kitetsu swords in One Piece. Each of the swords made were weaker than their predecessors. Zoro currently owns the Sendai Kitetsu, a grand sword that was crafted by Kozuki Sukiyaki. Kozuki Sukiyaki owns the Nidai Kitetsu, a great sword crafted by Kotetsu. Lastly, the Shodai Kitetsu, a supreme grade sword. Nazjuro, recognizing Zoro's sword, all but confirms that Nazjuro is wielding the Shodai Kitetsu. Upon 2 swordsmen's collision, Zoro and Nazjuro get blasted away by the impact. Jinbei rushes to Zoro's aid and catches him. On the deck of the Thousand Sunny, the worried Nami yells Zoro's name. Zoro replies with an order and tells Nami to launch the ship as they will just jump on later. He knows there is no time to waste, and they need to escape as soon as possible. The scene shifts to the northeast coast of Egghead. Bonnie is on the giant warrior pirate ship. She complains about Luffy still not arriving at their rendezvous point. Bonnie is hopeful that Luffy hurries as they can't hold the enemies back much longer. Meanwhile, the Marines are absolutely pumped up. Vice Admiral Hound urges everyone to sink the ancient ship of the pirates. He orders them to keep in mind that it's just one vessel, even if it does look like it came right out of a legend. Elsewhere, Sanji and Atlas are in the middle of finding Luffy. Atlas feels frustrated that their signal is not getting through due to the happenings around them. On the other hand, Sanji is shouting out to Luffy, hoping to spot him soon.
出番だルフィ
Luffy, Dory, and Broggy are near the shore of Egghead. Luffy happily announces that they are arriving and instructs everyone to set sail.
俺もだサンジでも負けねえぞ
Sanji's reaction is somewhat unsurprising. He feels slightly relieved since there is no mistaking that the loud voice they heard is Luffy's. Atlas becomes much livelier right now and says, "All right," as they prepare their escape. The scene shifts to the northeast coast of Egghead Island. Oimo and Kashi are delighted to see their captains approaching them. Dory orders the crew to get the ship ready. The giants assure their captain that they can leave the task to them. One of the giants signals to set sail. He asks everyone to turn the ship so they can finally get out of there. However, the Marines won't let them escape so easily. As both the giants and the Marines exchange blows, Vice Admiral Urban reminds his fellow Marines that the opposing pirates are from over 100 years ago. He urges everyone to keep fighting and not get scared of the giants since they are all fossils. As we begin to see many new giants enter the battle, Vice Admiral Urban continues to order the Marines to shake the enemies off. However, he is met with a scream, saying it is impossible. After all, the giants are obliterating their battleships. The Marines are feeling dejected. One urges everyone to fall back and get all the remaining ships in formation, while the other tells everyone to continue and give it everything they have. As the battle continues, Bluegrass arrives. She's disappointed at the Marine soldiers' performance and calls it sloppy. She even reminds them that they are all meant to be paragons of justice. Bluegrass tells them not to settle for being another face in the crowd. The Vice Admiral further adds that everyone should step up and be a star. She then blows a hole in the giant warrior pirate ship with the Sea Beast weapons beam. Kashi looks at the damage to their vessel. He is surprised that Bluegrass punched a hole in the hull. In the next moment, Doll quickly follows up the Sea Beast weapons attack. She plans to smash a similar hole, but this time in Kashi's guts. Kashi realizes it too late, as Doll is already on her way to defeat him. She eventually lands an attack called Rock and Roll Blaster and takes down Kashi. The scene briefly shifts to the lowly ranked Marines' responses. They are celebrating the victory of their Vice Admirals. One of them says that Doll's ferocity always sends shivers down his spine. The others yell wow in amazement as they cheer for Doll and Bluegrass. Meanwhile, a giant is devastated as he shouts Kashi's name. Back to the Marines, their morale is significantly rising. They want to keep going and ignore the fact that the enemies are freaking giants. The scene shifts to the shore of Egghead Island. Back in his normal form, Luffy is surprised that Workery had suddenly disappeared. After all, Workery was chasing them until a second ago. Instead of feeling surprised like Luffy, Dory and Broggy felt relieved instead. Dory thinks it's great. He says that now, all they have to do is just focus on boarding the ship. As he glances back, Broggy just laughs. He agrees with Dory and believes it's high time they finally set sail. Meanwhile, Luffy is still wondering where in the world that giant boar went off to. Little does Luffy know that Workery left to meet up with the rest of the gorosei. The scene shifts somewhere at Egghead Island. Saturn, Mars, Jupiter, and Workery are now cornering the Iron Giant. As the gorosei group up against the ancient robot, the scene shifts to the video broadcast. Vegapunk reveals that he has one last message to impart. He says that this upcoming revelation is for those who are scattered all across the world. The scene shifts back to the gorosei. As Mars stares at the Iron Giant, he realizes something about its identity. He glares at it in disbelief. Mars recognizes the ancient robot as the same Iron Giant that rampaged through Mary Joie 200 years ago. Workery's eyes say it all. Workery believes there can be no doubt that this is the very same giant. The scene shifts back to the video broadcast. Vegapunk continues where he left off. He reveals to the world that his last message is for those who are scattered all across the world and carry the letter D in their name. The gorosei have had enough of the genius scientist's revelations. While Vegapunk's transmission is going on, they charge toward the Iron Giant to eliminate it. The scene briefly shifts to the reactions of pirates whose names have the letter D, and those related to them. The serious dragon remains silent. Sabo blurts out Luffy and Ace's name. Similarly, Kobe remembers Luffy and Vice Admiral Garp, as they both have the letter D in their name. The message also catches Marshal D. Teach's attention. On the other hand, Beppo calls his captain when he hears the transmission. They are all looking forward to Vegapunk's next words. As the video broadcast continues, Vegapunk reveals that among those with D in their names, there is a something that we won't learn, at least not yet. The scene shifts back to the Iron Giant. He is flying mid-air after getting attacked by Workery's strike. The transmission ends as the message cuts off after a few buzzes, ending with the word Mo. As the Iron Giant lands on the fleet of battleships, the enraged Mercury thinks that the troubles Vegapunk's revelations bring are already enough. He is fed up with them. Meanwhile, the people around the world are stunned. They cannot accept that the signal has suddenly been cut off. The scene shifts to Big News Morgan's headquarters. Vivi wonders what Vegapunk was about to say. She can't help but ask if the signal got jammed. Meanwhile, Morgans wants to know what the letter D in Luffy and the others' names really means. Especially since Vivi, who is beside him, also carries the letter D in her name. The camera briefly focuses on Saint Saturn and Saint Mars' faces. They have become less tense now that the video transmission has forcibly ended by them. The scene shifts to Punk Records. York huffs as she falls to her knees in relief, as she says it's over. The words echoed in vain, and the chapter ends. What do you think Vegapunk was trying to say about the people who carry the will of D? And were you as excited as I was to see old characters coming back again after so long? I'd love to hear from you, so comment down below and let me know what you think. As always, press like if you enjoyed the video, and if you don't want to miss out on future One Piece chapters like this one, definitely subscribe and hit that bell icon. There will be no break next week, so I'll catch you in the next video. Till then, thank you for watching the video, and have a great day.